You're welcome back to the conversation on News Central Television. The first half of the show, we do talk about the just announced results by the Angolan Electoral Commission declaring victory to the ruling MPLA party, which guarantees President João Lourenço another 5 years in office. It's now time for us to switch gears and look at situations in Nigeria. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party is presently divided over the demand by the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, that the party's national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, must resign before he would agree, to reconcile with the PDP presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Wike and Atiku fell apart after the former vice president emerged as the PDP presidential candidate and selected the Delta State Governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, as his running mate over Wike, who was recommended by a panel set up by the party. Although the PDP set up a panel to reconcile the two men, Wike's insistence on removing the party chairman as a condition for peace had continued to generate tension in the main opposition party. Wike had accused Ayu of being impartial, noting that he had earlier promised to resign if a northerner emerged as the party presidential candidate. And in another development, the ruling All Progressives Congress candidate, vice chairman, has reiterated that the presidential flag bearer, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, remains unbeatable at the 2023 national polls. National Vice Chairman, Northwest of the APC, Saliu Lukman, said Tinubu is ahead of other contenders and has remained true to his ideals, seeing that he's not a serial defector like others. This is Tinubu's first presidential outing in 22 years, and many pundits say it may count against him. Others, however, opine that Tinubu's name has become like a currency in the Nigerian polity and may count in his favor in 2023 presidential elections. Now, joining us to make sense of all of this is Ayodele Lawal Adio, who's the managing editor at Avalon Daily. He joins us from Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos. Ayodele, glad to have you. Thank you very much. Join us on the conversation.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Ayodele, what's your assessment of the political climate in Nigeria as we inch towards the 2023 elections? The elections are in February, but it feels like lots of political activities, especially consultations, are in full gear.
I mean, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me. On the one hand, it's looking to be a very competitive election. It's a bit of a deja vu of the 1979 presidential elections, where you had three formidable candidates, jostle for the presidential position. Zik, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and of course, Shehu Shagari. The elections were quite close. It was highly competitive. The margin of victory, was very, very close. And so we're gearing up for that kind of close election in 2023. It's going to be highly competitive, very difficult to call. And of course, the margin of victory will also be very slim, like you had in 1979. But of course, the downside for me is the fact that there is very little discussion around the policy issues that will move the country forward. It's just all about politics, all about sharing the spoil, a bit of ethnicity and religion here and there, but very little articulation of the policies, the programs, the positions that are likely to move our country away from these doldrums. We are
do you think perhaps, sorry to jump in here, Ayodele, do you think perhaps is as a result of the campaign season not starting officially, and we're still far from it, maybe we'll start having those kind of discussions as we inch closer, or you disagree?
To be honest, it's even more difficult to put forward your policy programs in campaign season, because the way campaigns are designed is the ability to use a few buzzwords, to use your campaign slogans, and to use some of these attention-grabbing statements and sound bites. That's the way campaigns are designed. So usually at the heat of the campaign, you're actually supposed to even hear less of policy articulation, except when the candidates are being grilled by very thorough journalists. Otherwise, what you typically will hear in campaigns are these sound bites, these buzzwords, these very fancy headlines to promote a candidate's, popularity during the election. It is in times like this where people have the time and the leeway to properly explain why they want to run, what they are offering to the Nigerian people, why they are different, their understanding of the issues that confront us, and the solutions that they are preferring, if they are well thought out, if these solutions are realistic, if these solutions are pragmatic, and if they're implementable. Unfortunately, we have not seen any of that, and I don't think it's going to change when the campaign kicks off. Proper. My prediction is that it will even get worse, because campaign seasons are very fast, very high paced. So you're not likely to even have as much, policy.
There's a lot of music, and it's almost like a jamboree and
exactly.
like a marketplace.
Exactly.
Now, there's a saying that a house divided cannot stand on its own. There's trouble in the opposition People's Democratic Party camp. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has been in a series of meetings and consultations with members of even the ruling party, the All Progressive Congress. What do you make of Wike's insistence on the removal of Adio as the party's national chairman before he can reconcile with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party? Is he being a sore loser, or are his grievances legitimate?
I mean, to be honest, the way I read it, Wike is trying to stamp his authority within the PDP. He doesn't want to be a pushover during this electioneering process. And the most interesting thing is that Wike is not just speaking as an individual. What he's done is to cleverly put together an influential bloc within the party, which consists of a few governors and former governors, the likes of the governor of Abia State, the governor of Benue State, the former governor of Ondo State, the former governor of Ekiti State, of course, the current governor of Oyo State. So he has put together a bloc of a few formidable governors in the southern part of the country who have some level of influence in the voting pattern in their various demographies in the southwest, in the southern part of the country. So he's not just negotiating as an individual, which is why it's very difficult to call his bluff. He's leading a very influential bloc within the southern part of the PDP that makes him very difficult to ignore. And so what he's doing basically is to stamp his foot and his authority and his influence within the party to tell or to remind Alhaji Atiku Abubakar that he's not just a pushover. The numbers the primary elections show that much. He came very close to Atiku Abubakar's votes. And he's just trying to show that those numbers are not a fluke. He's quite influential within the party, very difficult to argue against that. The question is now whether or not he's going to push this too far to the extent that his bluff is being called.
But when you see him obnobbing with members of the opposition, the ruling All Progressive Congress, doesn't that constitute anti-party politics? Because everything seems to be about what he wants as a person at this moment.
Yeah, on the surface, it's a bit of anti-party politics on the surface. But I don't think that he's gone into very deep and serious conversations with the ruling APC. Because the truth is, he has a bit of some sort of strategic obstacle in the APC, because in the APC, you have Rotimi Amechi, who is the arrowhead of the APC in Rivers State there. And so the truth is, whatever happens within the APC, if he decides, for instance, to switch alliance to the APC, he would have to play second fiddle to Amechi, who is the ranking person of the APC from Rivers State. And Wike wouldn't want to do that. And on the other side, Amechi would also not want a situation where Wike is welcomed with open arms into the APC, largely because of the crisis or the disagreements between both men. So in terms of the APC, Wike is between a rock and a hard place, and I don't see how he's able to forge, an alliance with the candidate of the APC without having friction with Rotimi Amechi that could thwart, whatever arrangements that they seek to make.
Quite a delicate balancing act he has to do. But I'm sure a lot will change in the coming days. I would like to use this opportunity to bring in our second guest, Dr. Jide Johnson, a political analyst, joins us from Lagos. Now, Dr. Johnson, the National Vice Chairman of the ruling All Progressive Congress, Saliu Lukman, said the APC standard bearer, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is ahead of others and not a serial defector like others do in Nigerian politics. If you look at I guess it was a jab at the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who was in PDP, went to APC, then went to PDP. My question to you is this: is that really a strong point to use to sell your candidate? And how much ideological differences exist between the major political parties in Nigeria, Dr. Johnson?
None. They are the same. It's just 6.5 dozen. There's no difference between PDP, APC, PDP, APC, NNPP, Labour Party, or what have you. There's no ideological difference among Nigerian political parties, among Nigerian political class. All they care for is to seek election, win, and control power. That's just the truth. The fact that the flag bearer of APC has never crossed political parties or political divide to seek or contest election does not mean that he has not obnobbed with other political parties. In 2011, the party was instrumental to the emergence and success of Jonathan as the president-elect, defeating the candidate of the Congress for Progressive Change, who happens to be the president today. You also know that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was instrumental to the emergence of Aminu Tambuwal, Emeka Adio as the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the House of Rep against the PDP nominee for that post in 2011. So what the APC Northwest chairman is saying is just playing to the gallery. As far as I'm concerned, there's no difference. They could be APC in the morning, in the night they become PDP, or PDP in the morning, APC in the night. And to also let you know this, when the senators gather, there's no political party. Once they get to Abuja, they become Abuja politicians, just to defend, protect, and promote their own interest. So what the man is saying is just playing to the gallery.
Now, Dr. Johnson, before you joined us, I posed this question to your fellow panelist, Ayodele, Lawal, Adio, about the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, asking for the sack of the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Iyorchia Ayu, as a precondition before he can reconcile with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Is Wike being a sore loser, or is grievances legitimate?
Well, the grievances are legitimate. One, the media that has portrayed Wike as the voice of the opposition. Wike is just the arrowhead of an aggrieved group within the party that cuts across the southwest, southeast, south, and north central of the political divide in Nigeria. Wike is also the arrowhead of the younger elements, the younger thugs within the party, fighting the establishment, particularly the establishment that has gone to APC and have returned back to take over the reins of power within the party's power structure. Also, the interest is also beyond 2023. The interest is also looking forward to 2027. So if you look at the power structure of the PDP, those that maintain the structure, those that preserve the structure, when Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Iyorchia Ayu, and the rest like that went to APC in 2015, are the ones fighting Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Iyorchia group for preservation and protection of their interest. And if you understand politics, it's internal politics that is a bit stronger and tougher than intra-party politics. It's a bit tougher and stronger than inter-party politics, because it's the battle for the survival. And if everybody says Wike and his group are pushing their luck too far, you must understand that in politics, it's about securing and protecting your own interests. As far as I'm concerned, I think that the party is wasting too much time on this matter. They should have called for a meeting, and this issue should have been reconciled. Look,
thank you.
When Iyorchia emerged as the president, as the national chairman, Iyorchia emerged as a consensus chairman. As now, the whole of the South did not present a candidate. Now, when Iyorchia became the chairman of the party, instead of going by the rotational arrangement of the party, he jettisoned it. He has the power as the national chairman. So under normal circumstances, if indeed that bloc believes in equity, in fairness, what cost to Iyorchia if he believes that, okay, this is the major issue? What cost to Iyorchia for today I'm resigning? Because the narrative we have seen from the media is for the media to use hammer and nail to be nailing Wike over this particular issue. However, politics is not bread and butter. Politics is not like that. You fight to protect your own interest within the power structure of your party.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Johnson. Now, Ayodele, before we begin to wrap things up, I'm happy you mentioned the 1979 elections, because it almost looks like a deja vu situation since the advent of uninterrupted democratic exercise in Nigeria since 1999. This is the first time we'll be seeing what is likely to be a three-horse race. Now, what is the priority among Nigerian electorates as we inch closer to the 2023 elections? Because, I mean, I'm so sad to say this, that the issues that we discussed, I wasn't alive in 1979, but I bet they're the same issues we're talking about: light, infrastructure, roads, and health. Ayodele.
To be honest, you know, it worries me. It really worries me as a Nigerian that the Nigerian people are not looking for their own interests, while the politicians, for instance, are looking after their own interests. And at the end of the day, if the Nigerian people understand how the game of interests work, the electorates would always win. And that is because the electorates would have to organize themselves around the common interest and use those interests to negotiate, to negotiate with the political elite. Unfortunately, as we speak today, the Nigerian people are not organized around any common interest or any group of interests as we speak, whether it's educational, whether it's healthcare, whether it's security, whether it's devolution of powers. We are not organizing ourselves around any common interest. We're busy wasting our time with tokenist issues, like the ethnicity of a ticket, the religious coloration of one ticket or the other. And we're simply playing to the gallery because the politicians will again hoodwink us. And at the end of the day, when they get into office, they will arrogantly tell you that we never promised you to deliver X, Y, Z. Why are you demanding of us to deliver what we never promised you, or what you never held us to account during the electioneering process? So again, I think the Nigerian people are shooting themselves on the foot by not organizing themselves around the common interest that favors them as a people, be it regionally, be it nationally, be it on a state level. We are not doing that. And the inability of citizens to organize themselves around the group interest in a democracy is always throwing the electorate under the bus to the advantage of the political elite. And unfortunately, like I repeat, that's what we're doing at this particular point in time. And if this continues, if this trend continues, the Nigerian people would only have to pray to God to touch the heart of those that will be elected in 2023. Because at the moment, if I ask you, for instance, what is the main issue on the table, we can't say anything as we speak.
Okay.
It's either about Muslim ticket, it's about whose turn it is to govern, it's about this person has not been president for so long a time. It's all...
Let me pose this question
really
to Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson, oil was discovered in Olibiri in Bayelsa State in 1958. Nigeria boasts of being the largest economy in Africa, but we do know that the real statistics to look at is not GDP, but the Human Development Index, and we fail woefully on that. So since the advent of democracy, since independence, a lot of Nigerians have not really seen the benefits of government. Amongst this, candidates, the front runners for the general elections in February, do you see any one of them or any one of these people changing the lot and the future of teeming Nigerians that have suffered a lot since the advent of democracy? Do you see any hope on the horizon?
Well, taking a cue from what Lawal has said on his response to your last question,
yes,
government has not met the basic need of the people. If you apply Maslow's hierarchy of need, government has not met the basic need, the physiological need, food, clothing, and shelter. And you want the people to organize themselves around other issues, probably safe. Government has not even met the second need, which is safety needs. So government has not, so you want people to begin to organize around the third, fourth, or fifth level of needs. These people are very, very smart. They perpetuate poverty, and they control the narrative and the conversation around themselves and not around issues. Presidents have been elected on populism. Presidents have been elected based on ethnicity or other divide that they can ride on for them to win the election. So that's why you see they are not the campaign we are running are not issue-based campaign. They are not campaigns that are based on, okay, this is what we are going to do to reduce the level of poverty. This is what we are going to do to grow this economy. And when they get to office, all they campaign about, all what they point to are the basic infrastructure they provided. And I've said it, providing infrastructure is the ABC of public governance. Or you just put a 18-year-old kid to be the governor, they bring the design, somebody does the costing, and then he just approve money, go and build that road, go and build that bridge, go and build that. Those are ABCs of public administration.
We should have moved beyond that.
Beyond that. It's about bettering the lives of your citizens.
Dr. Jide Johnson, I really wish we could go on, but we've fast run out of time. I'd like to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Jide Johnson, and Ayodele Lawal Adio. I look forward to a part 2 of this conversation, hopefully in the nearest future. Thank you very much for your insights and contribution.
Anytime. It's a pleasure to be with you. And
thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, this is where we drop the anchor on today's edition of The Conversation. The first half of the program, we did talk about Angola, where the CNE, the Electoral Commission, has announced President João Lourenço as the winner of last week's elections in Angola, which has concluded our conversation on political happenings and towards the 2023 elections in Nigeria. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. I'm Gbenga Aborowa. See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.